Hey, how's it going? Back on some TF2 again. I really liked Call of Duty, but I want to get back to the standard here. So let's just get into it. I wanted to talk about algorithms and sort of social media at large, and I think something that I have mentioned in a couple of videos here and there, and it's something that I think I and pretty much everyone that uses the internet, especially if you're watching this video, I'd assume you you use the internet probably pretty frequently. An issue that we all sort of are forced to deal with. And that is this idea that the algorithms behind a lot of these social media platforms want you to be angry. They sort of feed you this very reactionary content that keeps you engaged while also making you miserable. Through doing, YouTube or just being on, Instagram, Twitter, whatever it may be, I have found it very hard to be authentic. A lot of these sort of videos that I've been making have been an attempt to come off as more authentic, unscripted, just me talking into a microphone, sort of like, videos that were made a decade ago on YouTube. And while doing this, I make titles and I make thumbnails and I, pick topics that will attract eyes and clicks, which can conflict with my attempt to be authentic. Now, there isn't anything inherently bad about that. It's not like I'm clickbaiting or doing anything harmful, but I think that process is a symptom of a much larger issue. Because YouTube sort of wants you to make content that will attract people's eyes, a lot of ways you can do that very easily is by making very reactionary, very, what is this? I don't agree with that, type content. That's why clickbait is such a large issue. Content that is inherently made to sort of make people upset or cause arguments. Content that sticks in your mind and makes you want to engage with it, whether or not that's agreeing with it, and sharing it or arguing and fighting in the comments. I see a lot of people on TikTok talk about, social media detoxes, which I found to be a little pretentious, but I think they are hitting at the issue I'm talking about. As a kid and even now, I found myself sort of in these spirals of only consuming, really depressing content or content that makes me angry. In 2016, 2015, 2014, YouTube was really pushing very sort of right-wing content on YouTube. And that isn't sort of to get political by any means, but it's just a fact. They've admitted it, and it's something that we can all remember, especially, if you're my age or a little bit older. Ben Shapiro owns College Student, that type of stuff, right? It was all over everybody's feed. And it was pushed so hard because it got people to engage with those videos. I made a video about being like a lurker on the internet and how over time I've become less and less interested in needing to state and share my own opinions, on pressing topics or trends, whatever it may be, right? I kind of force myself to resist the urge to argue about video games on Twitter because I know it'll sort of just make me upset. And I won't even end up changing the person's mind or whatever. Over time, I've become, I think, just a lot more passive, and I have limited my access to certain social medias and certain sides of the internet that I know will negatively affect my mood and how I'm treating people. And I think everyone is different. Personally, I can't use Instagram, and that is sort of just due to a lot of baggage from my past, but I know a lot of people will hear that I use Twitter and think I'm insane. I think I've just sort of identified what is good for me and what is bad, or rather what is bad and what's worse, because I think at the end of the day, no matter how preachy I can be, I am addicted to the internet, just like everybody else, probably you if you're watching this video. I'm constantly consuming. I listen to podcasts and YouTube videos while working or driving. I watch YouTube videos to fall asleep. I listen to a lot of music and I try and play a lot of games. But I do sort of make an attempt to be productive as I can with it, because I do think it has enabled me to engage with so many things I love. But it feels like I'm sort of fighting the platforms to see things that I actually want to see. It's sort of common knowledge that Twitter has become worse and worse since it was bought out. And I usually don't notice when other people say things like that. Things like, oh, my feed has been so terrible lately. It's all this shitty posts and all this kind of stuff. But I have genuinely noticed how bad Twitter has gotten within the past 2 years. And, it's just all these bots and engagement farms pushed onto your feed with captions that are made just to get you to reply or share because they make money off of you doing that. TikTok does this in ways too that are probably much more harmful. I don't know the full details behind it, but short form videos that you're scrolling through hundreds of a day. I get fed tons of, literally Nazi-esque posts, racist posts about stuff happening in Europe and all that kind of stuff. But overall, I think it's very predatory because people can't really control the urge to defend or argue against something, even if they don't act on it. I don't have to actually go into the comments section and argue with somebody, but that first reaction I get when I see a stupid ass post of someone being an idiot, it's hard to control that immediate split second thought. And it feels like every single day I'm fighting that urge, that reactionary side of me to not engage in these negative and harmful behaviors. And I think it's so shitty that we allow a lot of these social media platforms to actively get away with creating algorithms and platforms that actively encourage this sort of behavior. And this is nothing new, by the way. I think it has evolved over time, but I think we all probably remember a decade ago when boomers or whatever you want to call them were talking about the harmful effects of Snapchat and Instagram and people trying to make their lives seem so much better, or cyberbullying and all that sort of stuff. I think that's all sort of the problem. And it feels weird that I have become so normalized to the idea that I am constantly correcting myself or stopping myself from engaging in a lot of this straight up just loser behavior. I remember not too long ago I saw someone that I used to be friends with on Twitter just arguing with somebody about like a horror movie or something like that on Twitter, and it was almost embarrassing. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? We're grown ass men now, and you're still on social media arguing about a movie with somebody. But at the same time, it's also hard for me to judge them because I was doing that not too long ago about, shitty video games or something like that. I think with recent events, my whole feed right now is political. And that is something that I usually don't really engage in. I pretty much just use Twitter for art and to sort of see what, YouTubers and people that I care about are up to. Right now, it's virtually impossible to ignore or limit what I am seeing, which has sort of sparked this idea in my head. I don't really have any sort of solution or anything like that other than I think it's something to be aware of. And, it doesn't mean you have to quit the internet cold turkey or take a dopamine detox or whatever. I think it's something that you should just be aware of and keep track of and make sure that you're not sort of spiraling and falling down these really negative rabbit holes. Anyways, that's going to be it for today's video. I got Twitter and stuff in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching, and yeah, see you guys.